See if we're live on both platforms. Yes, here we go. Hi everybody, Chag Sameach, Happy Chanukah. I'm Rabbi Chernitsky, Director of Chabad of Newfoundland. Let's get right into it. We're studying Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, the abbreviated Code of Jewish Law, the Laws of Chanukah. We're continuing. This is chapter 139, Kuf Lamed Tes, starting with Halacha Hey. If a person is lighting with an earthenware lamp, once used one night, is considered old, and you cannot use it for a second night, considered moist, disgusting. Therefore, you should instead have a beautiful menorah made out of metal, and if you could afford it, you should buy one out of silver to do the mitzvah in a beautiful way, both known as Hider mitzvah. The Watzber custom is to follow what the Mishnah in the tractate Shabbos calls mehadrin min ha-mehadrin. Mishnah says there's three ways to do the mitzvah. Either that one person in the household lights one candle every single night of Hanukkah or late nights. Another way is that every person in the household lights one candle every single night. And that the mehadrin min ha-mehadrin, the most beautiful to the mitzvah, the way we understand it is that every person in the house lights one candle the first night, two the second night, and so on and so forth. So that's the widespread custom, like the mehadrin min ha-mehadrin, that every person lights one candle the first night and two the second, and so on until late night. Everybody lights 8 candles. You need to be careful to have to put the candles in a special place, so it should be noticeable how many candles you have. So before there was electrical light, or if a person usually has candles in their house, Hanukkah candles shouldn't be with those candles, should be separate. So it should be clear that these are Hanukkah candles, and you should be able to tell by looking at them right away how many candles were lit, which night of Hanukkah it is. Okay, the mitzvah of Hanukkah is to light. The Mishnah says the mitzvah is to light it by the door facing the outside, facing the public domain, to publicize the Hanukkah miracle. That's what was done in times of the Mishnah, times of the Gemara. But nowadays, when we live amongst the nations of the world, we light inside of the house. If you have a window that goes to the public domain, to the street, light by that window. If not, you light by a door, and it's a mitzvah to put the Hanukkah lights, the menorah, within a tefach. A tefach is 8 centimeters, close to the threshold on the left side, opposite the mezuzah. So the mezuzah always goes on the right side as you go into a room. So you want to have the menorah opposite the mezuzah, within a tefach, within 8 centimeters of the threshold of the door, of the entranceway. Why? So then you have the mezuzah on the right, the menorah on the left, and we are sandwiched, surrounded by mitzvahs. The best thing, though, it says here, instead of having the menorah lengthwise, to have it widthwise within the entranceway instead of like this. So here there's a note, because the custom in Chabad is to light by a door opposite the mezuzah and not by the window, the way we said before, not by a window facing the street. It also says in the note that we're not careful that the candle should face north, south, or east, west. Though in a synagogue in shul, when we light the menorah as part of the mincha afternoon service, we are careful to light south to north, because that's the way it was lit in the temple. But at home we're not makbid, we're not careful with that. It's meant to put the candles higher than 3 tefachim, higher than 24 centimeters from the ground, and lower than 10 tefachim, lower than 80 centimeters. So therefore, it says in the note here, we put the menorah on a chair, a stool, and we're not careful that the stool should be higher than 7 tefachim or within 3 tefachim of the ground. So if your candles are higher than 10 tefachim, higher than 80 centimeters, you did the mitzvah. Just going to verify what I'm telling you. I'm quoting all these measurements. Yes, a tefach is 8 centimeters, 3.16 of an inch. It's 3 inches and 0.16. That's 1 tefach. So we said your candle should be lower than 10 tefachim, lower than 80 centimeters. If they're higher than that, you did the mitzvah after the fact. But if they're higher than 20 ames, right, each am is a half a meter, so roughly 10 meters high, you didn't do the mitzvah because higher than 20 ames, higher than 10 meters, people don't see it. They have to make an effort to see it. They don't see it naturally. Somebody who lives in a second story or higher in an apartment building, what should he do? We just said if it's too tall, if it's too high, you didn't do the mitzvah. Now this guy lives many meters above the ground, more than 10 meters, more than 20 ames. What should he do? So if he has a window, you put it in the window. Even though the height from the floor, right, from the ground will be higher than 10 tefachim, higher than 80 centimeters. But if the window is higher than 10 meters from the ground, then we just said people walking on the street will not see it, have to make an effort to see it. Then the best thing is to put it by the door, opposite the mezuzah, as we described before. The lights should be, the candles should be in a straight line, not one higher and one lower. This is very important. There's beautiful menorahs that are made, but they're not kosher for Chanukah. The candles, the candle placers, the jugs of oil have to be straight in a line at the same level, not one higher and one lower. There should be some space in between the candles so that the flames don't get too close to each other, because as we said yesterday, when you have two flames together, it's called a madura, like a bonfire, and we need each flame to light on its own individually. Wax candles, you need to be even more careful to have a space in between them, so they shouldn't heat each other up and one candle cause the other to drip and then mess up the candle. If you want, you could fill up a plate with oil and surround it with wicks, but you have to overturn a plate on top of it or something to cover, and that then each wick counts as one candle. But if you didn't overturn a vessel, a plate on top of this bowl full with oil and wicks, doesn't even come from one, because then we consider it as a madura, a bonfire, and that's not good for Chanukah. A lamp, so a big bowl for oil that has two openings on the top or more. Two people, it should not be used by two separate people. Even the first night when each one lights one candle. Why? Because it's not clear, there's no hacker, how many candles are being lit that night. Now, when do we light the menorah? Halacha Yud, Halacha 10. Before we start reading, the Chabad custom is to light after sundown. Today is Friday, so after sundown is Shabbat we don't light fires. So we do it starting from the time called Plag HaMincha, which is the half point between 9.5 hours and sundown. So 9.5 hours to sundown, right? If we say there's 12 hours of day, 12 hours of the night. So that's 10:45. So it's an hour and a half. What did I just say? Sorry, it's an hour and a quarter. It's 2.5 hours between 9.5 hours into the day and sundown. It's 2.5 hours total. Half of that is an hour and a quarter. So an hour and a quarter halachic hours from that time before, right? Or let's say an hour and a quarter halachic hours before sundown. That's the earliest you could light the menorah, Plag HaMincha. So Friday of Hanukkah, you always light after Plag HaMincha and before the Shkia. If you don't know, before the sundown, you don't know what these times are, first of all, you could ask me. And also, you could look it up on Chabad.org or Google Zmanim, Zmanim, for St. John's or wherever you live. Okay, so the time to light the Hanukkah candles, according to the Kitzur, is from Tzeisak Rechavim, from nightfall. Okay, but do not, and it says that do not delay. It's forbidden to do anything before you light the menorah, even to study. Only if you did not daven ma'ariv, if you didn't pray the night services, you should daven ma'ariv first and then light the menorah. right? Because in the night services we say the Shema. The Shema is a biblical obligation. Lighting menorah is a rabbinic ordination. So it's a rabbinic level mitzvah commandment. So when you have two mitzvahs to do, you do the biblical first, then the rabbinic. In this case, the Shema, which is part of Ma'adim, the night prayers, and then you light the menorah. Before lighting the menorah, I gathered up the family to publicize the miracle of Chanukah. I need to put enough oil. If you're using oil, let you light at least for half an hour. But after the fact, if you did not light right away at nightfall, you could light with a blessing as long as the people in your family are still awake. But after the people in your family are sleeping, there is no more spreading of the miracle, and you should light without a blessing. If you didn't have any time to light at night, you could light for yourself. Sorry. If you will not have time to light at night, you could do it earlier from Plag HaMincha. This is what we're saying before. What's Plag HaMincha? It's an hour and a quarter before, halachically, before nightfall. Again, that's the custom in Chabad is to do 1 hour and a quarter before sunset, not nightfall. Nightfall is later. But we're reading here the Kitzur. Skipping the brackets. The thing is, when you light early, this is important. When you light early, either you have to have longer candles, so you have to put enough oil. They should be lit, according to the Kitzur, until half hour after nightfall. And if they don't light for so long, you didn't do the mitzvah. So the custom in Chabad, again, is we light at sundown, which is 4:16 in St. John's this year. And that the candle should be lit. Again, just to get the minimum mitzvah is 30 minutes, but the custom is they should light for 50 minutes. Today is Friday. We're going to light earlier than by sundown, right? Already sundown is Shabbat. We can't light by then. So therefore, we need to add more oil, excuse me, to make sure that the candles will be lit the correct amount of time that we're lighting early. The order of lighting according to our custom. The first night, you light one candle to the right? So you fill up the menorah from right to left. Fill it with candles or oil. Then the second night, you add a candle to the left of that one, and we keep adding to the left. And the one that we add is the one we light first. And you light turning to the right. As we says in the Talmud, that should always turn to the right and not to the left. That's all for today. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach, Feilach, and Chanukah. Hope you enjoyed it. Questions, comments, concerns, let me know.